You look at the news today and it's filled with tension, right? Conflict and chaos. But right now, high above all of it, something absolutely historic is happening. We're going to break down the Artemis II mission, a story of incredible precision, human achievement, and honestly, a little bit of hope, all unfolding as we speak.
I mean, the contrast is just stark. Down here, the world is holding its breath, watching headlines about downed jets in the Gulf and carrier strikes. But up there, 4 humans are on a journey that feels like it's straight out of science fiction. It's a powerful reminder of what we can achieve when we decide to look up.
And that's really the heart of what we're digging into here. How this mission, which blasted off on April 1st, 2026, is kind of a beacon for humanity in what feel like some pretty turbulent times.
Okay, so as of today, April 5th, the crew has officially crossed this invisible line in space. They've entered the moon's sphere of influence. Now what that means is, for the first time since all the way back in 1972 with Apollo 17, the moon's gravity is actually pulling on a human crew harder than Earth's. They are, without a doubt, in lunar territory now.
So you might be wondering, how's the mission actually going? Well, in a word, perfectly. Actually, it's going so perfectly that it's led to some pretty surprising decisions back in Houston. So get this, NASA held a briefing on April 4th, and they dropped a bit of a bombshell. They actually canceled the first planned trajectory correction burn. Why? Because the Space Launch System rocket, the SLS, was so unbelievably precise that the Orion capsule, which they've named Integrity, was already on a perfect path to the moon. They literally didn't have to adjust a thing.
But it hasn't all been computers and automation. Pilot Victor Glover took the controls for a supercritical manual test, flying Orion near the rocket's spent upper stage. And what this proves is huge. It means that on future missions, if some automated docking system fails, the astronauts have the skill, they have the hands, to fly that ship themselves and save the entire mission.
And this number just puts it all into perspective, doesn't it? They are already over 200,000 miles from home. Can you imagine looking out your window and seeing Earth, our entire planet, shrinking to the size of a crescent? The scale of this thing is just immense.
And they're not just flying the ship, they're also practicing what's being called space medicine. The crew just wrapped up a CPR rehearsal in zero gravity. Think about it, there's no ER in deep space, so these drills are absolutely crucial, especially when you consider the much longer 9-month trip to Mars. So far, the crew's perfectly healthy, and they're now getting ready for their next huge milestone, the flyby of the lunar far side.
Beyond the unbelievable technology that's keeping them safe, this mission also marks a massive cultural shift in who we send to represent all of us in the cosmos.
I mean, just look at the difference. The Apollo era was exclusively all-white, all-male American military test pilots. Fast forward to Artemis II, and you have a crew that's diverse in gender, race, nationality, and professional background. And look, this isn't just symbolic. For those really long trips into deep space, having diverse teams with different ways of solving problems, well, that makes the whole mission stronger. This one mission is just packed with historic firsts. You've got Christina Koch, the first woman ever to travel beyond low Earth orbit. That's where the space station hangs out. Victor Glover is the first black man to fly on a path to the moon. And Jeremy Hansen is the first Canadian to ever see the moon this close up. This isn't about checking boxes. It's about putting together the absolute best, most qualified team for the job, period. So how in the world do you keep 4 people alive for 10 days while whipping around the moon? Well, the tech inside that Orion capsule, Integrity, is nothing short of incredible.
Okay, one of the biggest worries came from the uncrewed Artemis I flight, where the heat shield got a bit more charred than expected. NASA's solution for this is just brilliant. It's called a skip maneuver. So instead of just plowing straight into the atmosphere, Orion is going to hit the upper layers, literally bounce off it like a stone skipping across a lake, and that will bleed off a ton of speed and heat. Then it'll come back in for a second, much cooler, much gentler final entry.
Of course, there's always the big question about the price tag. This single mission costs $4.1 billion. So people ask, why are we spending this money now, especially with everything else going on in the world? And you know what? It's a totally fair question. The answer is all about the return on that investment. See, this was never just about a 10-day flight. The technology we have to invent for missions like Orion, things like way more advanced radiation shielding or new high-density batteries, that tech doesn't stay in space. It spins off into new products that fuel our economy and improve life for all of us down here for decades. And let's be clear,
America isn't just racing against its own ghost from the 1960s anymore. Oh no, this is a full-on global competition now, with different countries and even private companies all setting their sights on the moon.
The new prize is the lunar South Pole because we think it's loaded with water ice, and everybody wants a piece. China has unveiled its Lanyu lander, and they're aiming to put boots on the ground by 2030. India's space agency, ISRO, is quickly becoming a lunar superpower. And of course, NASA is betting the entire Artemis II landing on SpaceX and its massive Starship. The race is definitely on.
A mission this big is always going to attract some wild conspiracy theories, so let's just clear the air on a couple of the most common ones real quick. First, the Van Allen radiation belts. Deadly? Nope. Orion's shielding is top-notch, and the SLS rocket is so fast the crew punches through the worst parts in just a few minutes. The radiation dose is tiny. And the whole "it's faked on a green screen" thing? Well, you can tell that to the 400,000 people who saw it launch with their own eyes and to the global deep space network that's tracking its every move.
As the crew looks back at our planet, what they see is a small, fragile Earth. There are no borders visible from up there. Their journey is just this powerful, powerful reminder. It shows that even when we're down here, divided and fighting, we are still one species. And we're a species capable of incredible unity, capable of touching the stars.
So, as we wrap this up, I'll leave you with a question to think about. What part of this whole story gives you the most hope? Is it seeing such a diverse crew that truly looks like all of humanity? Is it the mind-bending technology that makes it all possible? Or is it maybe just the simple fact that even in the middle of a crisis, we can still do something this grand?